Imagine for a moment that every history book you have ever read is not a record of our rise, but a simplified narrative of our survival. The greatest threat to our modern identity is not a future catastrophe, but a silent mechanical pulse emanating from the deep past. Somewhere beneath the crushing weight of the Mediterranean or locked within the unyielding layers of the Earth's crust, there are objects that should not exist. They are not mere curiosities, they are a direct challenge to the timeline of human achievement. We have long believed ourselves to be the first to master the gear, the spring, and the complex calculation of time, yet the deeper we dig, the more the shadows of an older, more sophisticated hand begin to emerge. This is the danger of the forbidden timeline, a reality where our ancestors were not who we thought they were, and our future is merely a repeat of a forgotten end. The discovery of the Antikythera Mechanism in 1901 was the first crack in the glass. It was a bronze device, encrusted with centuries of calcium and sea growth, salvaged from a shipwreck off the coast of Greece. At first, it was dismissed as a lump of corroded metal. Decades later, X-rays revealed a complexity that defied the known capabilities of the ancient world. It was an analog computer, designed to track the movements of the stars and the cycles of the moon with a precision that wouldn't be seen again for over 1,000 years. But what if that device was not a unique masterpiece of a solitary genius? What if it was merely a remnant of a much older, more forbidden lineage of technology that had been scrubbed from the record of time? The machine's bronze teeth suggest a world that understood the cosmos long before we were supposed to have the tools to measure it. The danger of this discovery lies in its implications. If a sophisticated mechanical computer existed 2,000 years ago, it suggests that the linear path of human progress is a myth. We are taught that we have climbed a steady ladder from stone tools to silicon chips, but these anomalous artifacts suggest a cycle of ascent and catastrophic collapse. The tension arises when we realize that our current peak might not be the highest point humanity has ever reached. We may simply be scavenging the rusted scraps of a civilization that understood the universe in ways we are only beginning to simulate. In the dark recesses of private collections and high-security research labs, there are rumors of a second discovery, a successor to the Greek device that researchers have begun to call Antikythera II. Unlike the original, this version was not found in a shipwreck from the era of Rome. It was found encased in a geological strata that predates the emergence of Homo sapiens by millions of years. This is where the thriller becomes a nightmare for the modern scientist. Imagine a block of coal, formed 300 million years ago, being split open to reveal a precision machine gear made of a high-grade titanium alloy. It is a device composed of materials that should not have been refined in that era, alloys that require high-heat furnaces and chemical knowledge supposed to be only a few centuries old. The conflict is no longer just about history, it is about the physical reality of our planet. When we see a shimmering, non-corrosive silver gear embedded in the black, jagged thistles of ancient stone, the contrast is more than visual. It is a fracture in our understanding of time itself. Think of the silence that follows when a piece of manufactured iron is found embedded in a coal seam that hasn't seen the sun in 300 million years. There is no easy explanation that fits within the comfortable boundaries of our current understanding. To accept the object is to reject the timeline. To reject the object is to ignore the physical evidence right in front of us. This is the forbidden tech that haunts the margins of archaeology. It points toward a mechanical ghost in our DNA, a suggestion that we are not the masters of our tools, but the children of a race that mastered them far better than we ever have. This technology doesn't just sit in a museum, it mocks our sense of superiority. The fear isn't just that we were preceded by others, but that we might be following their exact trajectory toward a similar erasure. The sophisticated gears found in these ancient devices show a level of mathematical precision that rivals modern Swiss watchmaking. They utilize differential gearing and celestial modeling that suggests a profound understanding of the cosmos. When we look at these rusted wheels and precision-cut teeth, we aren't just looking at tools, we are looking at a mirror. If they were as smart as us, or smarter, and they vanished so completely that only a few fragments of bronze and iron remain, what does that say about the permanence of our own digital age? Our silicon chips and fiber optics are fragile. In a few thousand years, they will be dust. The ancient gears, forged in forgotten alloys, are the only things that endure.
It has to be here.
There is a growing unease among those who study these out-of-place artifacts. They find themselves caught between the desire for truth and the risk of destabilizing the very foundation of societal knowledge. If we admit that a high-tech civilization existed millions of years ago, we must also admit that we have no idea who they were or where they went. We become a species with amnesia, wandering through a museum of our own forgotten ancestors. The artifacts suggest a world where technology was not a slow evolution, but perhaps a sudden, brilliant flash that was extinguished by forces we have yet to comprehend. We are like children who have found a set of blueprints in the attic and believe we are designing the house ourselves, unaware that the house has already burned down and been rebuilt a dozen times. The simulation of these devices using modern computing reveals even darker possibilities. When engineers reconstruct the missing pieces of these ancient machines, they find that some are designed to track celestial events that haven't occurred in recorded history. They are calibrated to a sky that existed long before the continents shifted into their current positions. This creates a psychological friction. It forces us to confront the possibility that we are living in the ruins of a global infrastructure that was once more connected and more advanced than the one we are currently building. The gears are not just calculating time, they are calculating a version of Earth that we no longer recognize. They are navigators for a world that has been reshaped by cataclysm. We often think of progress as a shield against extinction, but the forbidden technology of the past suggests that progress might actually be a recurring loop. We find these gears in the deep because that is where the remnants of the old world go to hide. Every time we reach a certain level of sophistication, we stumble upon these mechanical warnings. They are silent sentinels, reminding us that we are not the first to believe we had conquered the Earth. The conflict within the scientific community is palpable. Do we publish these findings and risk a total collapse of the historical consensus, or do we keep them in the shadows to maintain the illusion of our own uniqueness? The silence of the authorities is not a lack of evidence, but a surplus of fear. The risk of this knowledge is transformative. It suggests that our current technological innovations are not inventions at all, but rather a slow process of remembering. If the Antikythera 2.0 truly exists, it means that the peak of human achievement happened while we were still, according to the textbooks, nothing more than primitive organisms. This is the ultimate thriller, the realization that the monster in the dark is actually our own reflection, older and more dangerous than we can imagine. We are tracing the footsteps of giants, and we are finding that their path ends at a cliff. The technology we are currently developing may just be the keys to a door that has already been locked from the other side. Consider the mechanical precision required to create a gear with a prime number of teeth to calculate lunar cycles. This requires a grasp of prime number theory and mechanical engineering that the world supposedly didn't possess until the late Middle Ages. Yet, there it is, corroded and ancient, mocking our sense of superiority. The more we simulate these devices, the more we find that they weren't just calculators, they were navigators. They were designed for a civilization that was not bound by the shores of a single sea, but perhaps by the limits of the atmosphere itself. We find traces of refined aluminum and processed magnesium in places they have no right to be. We find microscopic nanostructures in the Ural Mountains that suggest a manufacturing capability that rivals our most advanced laboratories. The question then becomes, why was this technology forbidden? Or more accurately, why was it lost? Some suggest a catastrophic event, a global reset that wiped the slate clean. Others suggest that the technology itself was the cause of the downfall. In the dark thriller of our history, the forbidden tech acts as the MacGuffin, the object everyone wants but no one can control. It represents a power that exceeds our social and ethical maturity. If we are just picking up the pieces of a failed predecessor, are we doomed to repeat their final, fatal mistake? The gears continue to turn in the dark, indifferent to our struggle to understand them. They are programmed for a timeline that ignores our brief moment in the sun. We are currently in a race against time to recover these artifacts before they are lost to the elements or hidden away by those who fear the implications. The deep-sea submersibles that scan the ocean floor are looking for more than just shipwrecks, they are looking for the truth of our origin. Every time a new gear is found, every time a mysterious alloy is analyzed, the tension grows. We are living on a planet that is essentially a graveyard of high-tech civilizations, and we are the latest tenants, convinced that we are the owners. But a tenant who finds a high-security vault in the basement must eventually ask who the previous owner was and why they left in such a hurry. This narrative challenges the core of our ego. We want to believe we are the pinnacle. We want to believe that the path from the campfire to the spaceship was a straight line that only we were clever enough to walk. But the cold, hard reality of a precision-engineered device from the deep past suggests a much more complex and perhaps more terrifying story. It suggests that we are part of a long chain of attempts, a series of rises and falls that may have no end. The forbidden tech is the evidence that the universe does not care about our sense of importance. It only cares about the physics of the gear and the rotation of the stars. The conflict between the evidence and the narrative creates a space where secrets thrive. The shadows are populated by those who know the truth and choose to stay silent, and those who suspect the truth and are driven to find it. This is the essence of the dark thriller, the creeping realization that the world is not what it seems, and that the history we have been given is a fragile mask. Behind that mask is a world of gears and steam, of ancient electricity and forgotten mathematics, waiting to be rediscovered. When we look into the deep sea, we are looking into a mirror. We see the rusted remains of our own future, built by hands that were gone before we ever drew breath. As we move further into our own technological era, the irony becomes sharper. We use our most advanced satellites and deep-sea drones to find evidence of people who may have had even better versions of the same things. We are using the peak of our knowledge to investigate the peak of theirs. And if we find that they were exactly like us, driven by the same ambitions, the same greeds, and the same curiosity, the danger becomes even more personal. It means that their end is a blueprint for our own. If they had the precision of a Swiss watch and the mathematical genius of a supercomputer and they still vanished, then our digital fortresses are nothing more than sandcastles. The Antikythera 2.0 is more than a device, it is a warning. It is a message from a ghost, written in the language of mechanics and geometry. It tells us that nothing is permanent, not even the most advanced society. It tells us that we should be humble, for we are walking on the bones of giants who thought they had conquered time itself. The thriller ends not with a resolution, but with a question that echoes in the silent halls of museums and the dark pressure of the seabed. If we are the pinnacle of technology, why are we finding our own future in the rocks of the distant past? The answer may be something we are not yet ready to hear. The search continues, driven by a mixture of wonder and dread. Every year, new anomalies are reported as spark plugs found in 500,000-year-old geodes, mysterious metallic spheres with etched grooves, and microscopic gears found in the Ural Mountains. While many of these are dismissed or debated, the sheer volume of out-of-place evidence creates a weight that the standard narrative can no longer carry. We are standing on the edge of a paradigm shift that will either expand our understanding of what it means to be human or shatter our sense of security entirely. We are finding that the Earth is much older, and much busier, than our history books allowed. In the end, we may find that the most forbidden technology of all is the truth of our own insignificance. We are a species that keeps building, keeps dreaming, and keeps forgetting. We are the inheritors of a world that has been lived in many times before. The dark thriller of our existence is that we may never truly know who we are until we understand who we were. And as the gears of the past continue to turn in the darkness, they wait for us to catch up, to remember, and to finally face the possibility that we are not the masters of our destiny, but merely the latest iteration of a very old, very complex machine. The gears are turning. They have been turning for millions of years. They turn in the silence of the coal mines and in the pressure of the abyss. They do not need our permission to exist, and they do not need our understanding to function. They are the evidence of a higher order, a mechanical lineage that bridges the gap between the stars and the stone. We are just the latest observers, trying to read the time on a clock that was set before our mountains were even formed. The true threat is not what we will find in the future, but the realization that we have already been here before, and we have already lost. We must ask ourselves what happens when the final gear clicks into place. What happens when our technology finally matches the sophistication of the forbidden artifacts? Perhaps that is the moment the loop closes. Perhaps the discovery of these machines is not a gift, but a trigger. As we unearth the Antikythera 2.0 and begin to simulate its ancient functions, we might be restarting a countdown that was paused eons ago. The thriller is not just about the past, it is about the present moment, where the ghost of ancient technology meets the ambition of the modern age. In that collision, the history books will finally be burned, and the true record of our survival will begin.